What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Philly Sports Power Hour on this wonderful Thursday in Red October. And it is a big pleasure for me to welcome to the show Phillies legend, Mickey Morandini. How you doing, Mickey?
I'm doing great. How are you?
How could we not be doing great, right? What a night.
Yeah, it was fun. I think the first two games went as expected. Everything was clicking pretty much, and the fans once again were awesome. So yeah, it was a good first series. Now the real playoffs start. We got to go into Atlanta and play well, obviously.
Yeah, it won't be easy, but let's enjoy a little bit more about last night for a second here, Mickey. Now, you played on that 93 team, which first off, I got to tell you, I was a kid watching that 93 NLCS when you hit that bases clearing triple. What did that feel like? Because it looked awesome to watch, I'll tell you that.
I remember it like it was yesterday. Just an incredible feeling. I mean, I always had good success off of Maddox. They walked Lenny to get to me, so that's a little added motivation. And he threw me a couple really good changeups in that bat. The one I swung through, the next one I checked my swing, and luckily they didn't say I swung. He came back with it again and hung it a little bit, and I was able to rifle it down the right field line. But when I got to third base and heard the 50,000 screaming Philly fans and saw their pitching coach coming out to take Maddox out of the game, it was pretty special.
Oh, I can only imagine what it felt like for you because it was awesome to watch, Mickey. It really was, man.
Thanks.
So that's what I want to ask you. So the vet used to get loud. The vet used to get really loud. But how would you compare the vet to Citizens Bank Park? Because this place looks like something I've never seen before.
Yeah, I still think the vet was louder when it was completely packed, just because it was enclosed and that noise all came down on the field. But, I mean, it's similar. I mean, loud is loud, and they were fantastic again in the Wildcard series. I thought they actually were a lot more louder last night than the night before. I just think the fans expected us to win. It was a wild card series. I think everybody's looking forward to the Braves series, but it was still electric in there. And as the innings went on, and then after Stott's home run, it really got loud.
Yeah, it was Stott's grand slam. That was incredible. That was good. Am I correct? Didn't you have a grand slam, an inside the park home run grand slam, or no?
I had an inside the Parker. I don't think it was a grand slam, but I hit one grand slam in my career. It was off of Dave Righetti, right around All-Star break in '93. So, but I don't think either of them were. I don't think the inside the Parker was a grand slam.
So you had a grand slam and you had an inside the Parker. They weren't one and the same.
Correct.
Gotcha. So when you're a baseball player and you've played in some pretty tough environments, when you're the opposing team like the Miami Marlins were, what does a crowd like that do to you? How does that affect you from an away team?
Oh, it affects you. I mean, just the noise level affects you. And, a lot of players will say, well, I blocked that out. That's hard to block out as an opposing player. So I thought the biggest key for the Phillies and really any home game is to get a few runs early, get one or two early and really get that crowd into it. And they were able to do that in both games, and it affects players. It really does, and it not only affects the opposing team, but it really gets your adrenaline going as a home player, and it can elevate your game a little bit. And the Philly fans obviously have been great throughout all these playoffs last year and this year, and I know that will continue as we get deeper into the playoffs.
Yeah, Zach Wheeler said it after Game 1. That his velocity was up simply because of this crowd really firing him up. Were you impressed, though? I expected that from Zach Wheeler. Tell us a little bit about Aaron Nola's performance last night. What a night he had.
Yeah, he had a great night. And I think a lot of people were kind of on the fence. We're going to see the really good Aaron, or are we going to see the one that, pitches good for 3 or 4 innings and then has the big blow-up inning? But they made an adjustment in his delivery. And from what I understand is he's had some issues with the pitch clock. And from what I understand, there are pitch clocks to the left of him and pitch clocks to the right of him that he can look at as he's coming set. And the issue, I believe, was he was looking at the pitch clock to his right. So it was closing him up when he would go to look at that pitch clock. it was closing him up and his delivery was off a little bit. So they made the adjustment. They looked at some film and made the adjustment and told him to look at the pitch clock on the left, which kept him more open. And the last 3 outings, he's been phenomenal. So whoever saw that in the film, where he was being closed because of the pitch clock, that was genius. It really has worked out.
Yeah, because if the Phillies are going to make another run, we need both Wheeler and Nola dealing for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And, Wheeler and Nola, since they've pitched in this series, I would assume, I don't know if it's Rangers going to pitch game 1 or not, or Sanchez, but we'll see Strider in game 1. So in games 2 and 3, with Wheeler and Nola going, I believe we'll have an advantage in that department. So if we can just win one of these 2 in Atlanta, like we did last year, we should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it almost sets up good for this Phillies team like it did last year, where you go on the road, you only have to win 1 or 2, and then you get to come back to this Citizens Bank Park environment. So it kind of likes starting out on the road.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I guarantee you nobody wants to come here and play. Nobody. I don't care what team it is out there. They do not want to come into this hostile ballpark and have to deal with these Philly fans. So if Atlanta does lose the game down there, I guarantee you they're going to be very, very worried.
Yeah, we were talking about it before you came on, Mickey, about how great of a manager Rob Thompson has been for this ball club. Can you tell us a little bit about what he's meant to this team, especially when they didn't start out as well as a lot of people were hoping they would this season?
Yeah, I just think, one, he's a great communicator. I think the players like him. They really like how he manages. I think the thing that really impressive to me is he's not afraid to play the young players. And that was something that Joe really didn't do. And you have seen such growth from Bohm and Stott and Marsh, and now the center fielder and Pache. Pache come in here and supposedly couldn't hit at all, and he's had some big hits. And so he's not afraid to send those guys out in big situations, let them learn, let them get comfortable, and now they're all making huge contributions. Even the rookie pitcher. I mean, to bring up a rookie pitcher and have him pitch 3 games during the year, 3 innings, and now he's on the playoff roster. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and what we saw last night from Orion Kirkering, man, he looks like he's got some nasty stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they've obviously followed him throughout his rise in the minors this year, and obviously it impressed them a lot to be able to call him up late in the year on a playoff team and put him on the roster. So they are very impressed, and I'm sure Rob's not going to be afraid to throw him out there in some key situations as we move forward here.
Yeah, the way he was pitching last night, I wouldn't be worried either.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about this lineup. Trey Turner, obviously the biggest free agent acquisition, really struggled during the season. Fans give him that great ovation. What are you seeing from him since that ovation?
Yeah, just, his timing's better. He's not chasing like he was early in the year. I think that was the big thing. He was swinging a lot of pitches out of the zone. And when you do that and you get deeper and deeper and deeper in a slump, it's really, really hard to get out of it. I've been through a lot of them. And the deeper you get into it, the more pressure you put on yourself. So I do think that, and I'm sure that standing ovation really helped him just relax a little bit and just told himself to go out and play. But Trey's been phenomenal. He's still in bases. He hasn't even been caught all year. And I believe that when he started playing well again, that's when this team really, really took off.
Yeah, definitely need him hot like he's been in the playoffs. And then let's talk about Bryson Scott hitting the first grand slam of his career. He said last night it was not only the first grand slam of his Major League Baseball career, but maybe ever playing baseball, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
They were talking a little bit on the broadcast last night. He struggled with fastballs last season. He really worked on that this year. What are you seeing from Bryson Scott?
Yeah, he's had an incredible year. His defense has been phenomenal. I wouldn't be surprised if he won a Gold Glove this year. I mean, he's been that good defensively. But, ever since he started spreading out a little bit more and shortening his swing, because he's a strong kid, he's been great at the plate. You know, he has the best at bats of anybody. Puts the ball in play. He's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. We've seen that. I think he was first in the league in 2-strike base hits. But last night, you know, he usually doesn't swing at a lot of first pitches. But he must have been sitting on a fastball in that situation, and he just said, if I get something middle in, I'm going after it, and he didn't miss it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. And then let's talk about a guy who's become a fan favorite since he's been here, and that's Bryce Harper.
Oh,
Have you seen a player have such a flair for the dramatic like Bryce Harper does? It seems like he shows up at big moments every time there's an opportunity. He's showing up.
You know, I played with Lenny for, 4 or 5 years, Lenny Dykstra, and I think they're similar. Now, obviously, Bryce has a lot more power and does some things offensively. But Lenny, when the bright lights were on, there wasn't a player he's the player we wanted at the plate when we needed a big hit. And Bryce is the same way. He's phenomenal. When we need a big hit, we need a home run or a run batted in. Man, he's just so good. He's so locked in, and he's been great for this city, obviously. I don't think these fans, they knew they were getting a really, really good player, when we first signed him. But, man, he's really been phenomenal out there, and really, he's been the key to us, the last 2 years. He's been the key. He's bringing players in here. I think people want to play with him. He brought Trey over, and signing of Schwarber and Castellanos and some of these guys. I think that has a Bryce Harper effect.
Yeah, and this team is just such an easy team to like, which is similar to your 1993 Phillies. I don't think there was a person in this city who didn't love that 93 team. So I got to ask you, can you give us one of your favorite stories or memories from that 93 team and run?
Well, do we have about 2 minutes here? Because I got a fairly long story.
Oh, yeah. I would love to hear it, man.
This is kind of our team and our coaching staff. So in 93, we were only out of first place one day that whole year, which was pretty incredible because we were so bad in 92. But if you remember, our starting pitching was really good that year. Every starter had at least 12 wins. But they went through a stretch in midsummer where they had a string of really bad starts, and our bullpen was way overused, tired, needed a break. And really what we needed was just a starter to go out, pitch deep into the ball game, and just give our bullpen a rest. So Schilling's on the mound in Cincinnati. And if you remember in Cincinnati, they used to shoot off fireworks when the home team hit a home run. So Kurt was getting beat up pretty good again. It looked like we're going to have to get back into that bullpen. It was like 5-0 in the fourth, and Barry Larkin came up, hit a home run, and fireworks went off. And then Reggie Sanders was the next batter, hit a home run, fireworks went off. So it's like 7-0 now. So Kurt was turned around, facing the outfield, kind of rubbing the ball up, gathering the stats a little bit. And our pitching coach, Johnny Padres, runs out. And Kurt turned around and saw him there and kind of started going off on him. What are you doing out here? I know I'm getting my butt kicked. I know I got to stay in this game as long as I can. And Kurt's kind of rambling on for like 30 seconds. And finally, our pitching coach, Johnny Padres, goes, Kurt, I didn't come out here to say a damn word to you. Just came out here to give the fireworks guy time to reload. And he slapped him on the butt and said, go get him, kid, and ran right back in. I mean, we loved each other. We had so much fun. And I think there are a lot of similarities with this team. We had so much fun and played the game the right way, played the game hard. And that's obviously what this team, has done over the course of the last 2 years.
Yeah, and you guys beat a Braves team that was, you talk about some good pitching. They had a great pitching staff. What do you see in the Braves pitching staff that the Phillies are about to face on Saturday?
Yeah, they don't have many weaknesses. I think if they have one weakness, it may be a little bit of that bullpen. Their bullpen, I don't think, is as strong as it used to be. But, those first couple of guys, and I don't know if Fried's going to be healthier, and I guess he's had some blister issues. But Strider's phenomenal. We've really struggled with him other than the playoff game last year. So they got a really good starting staff. I think Morton might be out too. So they do have some guys that are banged up a little bit in that starting staff. But man, they can hit the baseball. They've set all kind of records this year for runs scored and home runs and things like that. They got guys that can steal bases. I mean, Acuna, my gosh, he stole over 70 bases this year. So we're going to have our hands full. We're going to have to score some runs this series. We're going to, there's going to be probably a game or two where we're going to have to bop with them a little bit and outscore them. But they're a phenomenal team. But, they always seemed – they were always good. I mean, they made the playoffs 15 straight years when I was playing and only went to one World Series. So they always seem to play really well during the season, and something happens in the playoffs, and hopefully that continues this year.
Yeah, when they were making the playoffs 15 straight times, it was a lot harder to make the playoffs back then, too.
It was, yeah, they only took a couple of teams then. There wasn't this, 3 wild card system for sure.
Yeah, which as fans I love, because you love to see more playoff baseball.
Yeah, I think I like it too. I do understand that. I don't think it's fair that you get a 5 or 6 day break for the winning team, the top 2 teams. Because as a hitter, the last thing I want is 6 days off from seeing live pitching. Now I know you can do simulated games and things like that. It's just not the same. So. They could be a little rusty in game 1 because they haven't seen a lot of live pitching. And, I'm sure they're trying to do as much as they can to simulate games. But 5 or 6 days off for a hitter is a long, long time.
Yeah, you mentioned Strider. You think he's the game 1 starter for the Braves?
Well, I would imagine, yeah. He'll be I would imagine he'll pitch in 1 and 4. And what's the other one? Is it Elder or something like that? I don't follow the Braves too much. He might be.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and he'll probably game 2, I would imagine.
And then you mentioned earlier, you think it's Ranger Suarez for the Phillies rolling out in game 1?
I think, unless they want to keep him in the pen, and then it would be Sanchez, I would imagine, because they do have some lefty hitters there, and I think they struggled a little bit more with lefties than righties, but Rangers got some experience. Sanchez doesn't. So to pitch on the road isn't easy. I would assume it's going to be Ranger.
And it's interesting because for a 5-game series, there's 3 rest days. So the nice part is Wheeler gets game 2. You probably would get him again for game 5 if it gets there.
I would think so. Yeah, that's a nice thing to have. And if Strider pitches 1 and 4, then in game 5, I think we have a huge advantage. So we'll see what happens. It's 2 really good teams. It's going to be a war here. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a grind. And I would assume it's going to go 5 games, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you mentioned this team's got to score runs. What do you think the key is to this series for the Phillies to get out victorious?
Well, we got to keep Acuna down a little bit. We can't let Acuna go off. I mean, he's probably going to win the MVP this year, and he's an impact player. He can change the life of the game a little bit. So if we can keep him in check, then I think we got a good chance to win.
I hope you're right, because the more Red October we get, the better as Phillies fans, man. We love it.
Absolutely.
We can't get enough of it. Well, Mickey, I appreciate you making the time, man. This was awesome. I know our fans really appreciated it. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about our 4-0 Philadelphia Eagles. So don't go anywhere. Mickey, have a good one, man.
Thanks. Great to be on the show.
Go to